Welcome to Hearts and Stripes, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I hope our discussions and interviews equip you with the tools to start or grow a beautiful marriage as we address the benefits and challenges of MILF marriage. I believe life's most precious moments are worth celebrating, so I'll help you design your marriage blueprint in alignment with your core values. Thank you for joining us, and remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Let's do this. Hello, everyone. So today's heart to heart is a topic that I'm really excited about, and I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with a little story. So this past summer, I had the opportunity to go to Texas for a business trip. And the weekend in between the weeks that I was there for work, I ended up crashing a friendcation. Beautiful opportunity. Wasn't really in the plan, but it was a spontaneous move and that I'm really happy that I made. So this group of friends got an Airbnb. They are my acquaintances, if you will, friends of friends. But I absolutely love them because it ended up being 5 married couples all at this Airbnb with their friends and family. We had little people running around, which was so cool. Two of the couples represented were military couples. So that is inclusive of myself and my friend, which for some perspective, when I say represented, I mean, it was just us. It was just the wives. We were there holding it down, representing the family. Because as the military would have it, it was hard to have our entire unit, the whole couple there. Because the active duty member is, doing great things, serving. So painting the scene, we're about an hour outside of San Antonio in a natural environment. We go hiking. The air is fresh. We're eating outside on patio. We go fishing, all different types of things. And as married couples would do, we talked about married topics. So I love Dee and Ernie. Shout out to them. Dee starts preaching on marriage. He is passionate. He is pumped up. He is talking about why you should work out with your significant other. I may have to have Dee on the podcast. But he was just sharing and dropping some jewels on, you got to be there. You got to do things that your significant other wants to do, or somebody else is going to try to slide in there again for another podcast. But Isaac begins to stir the pot and kind of do this gentlemen against ladies conversation on bringing up the topic of a wedding. And he goes on teasing, saying that ladies only care about the wedding. Weddings are pointless. Weddings are time consuming. Weddings are a waste of money. So, my ears perk up because I'm a wedding planner. You gonna sit here and bash weddings in front of a wedding planner? Are you kidding me? Sir, you done opened the door. Here I come. I'm coming for you because you came for me. That's how we do it. That's the rule. So I had to go in a full education mode. I had to. I had no choice. He called me. He called me out. I had to educate him because weddings are super important to me. I believe in having weddings. However you choose to have your wedding celebration, that is completely on you. But weddings are a great way to mark this next chapter in a couple's lives. Think about it. You have two families coming together in agreement, in support of a union. It is a happy occasion. It's not a sad occasion. You're all team couple. You have amazing memories that are formed at weddings. You have grandma in a room with Uncle Bob, in a room with your cousins that you grew up with and ran around with, in the same room with that friend that could tell some crazy stories about you. Where else are you going to have this group of people all in one place, all in one moment, breathing the same air, experiencing the same thing, and they're all there for you. So pro weddings, so pro having some type of marriage celebration, whether that's elopement or however you want to do it, big or small, costly, inexpensive, however you want to do it, I'm pro wedding. So, but I started educating him from the thought process of weddings are another tool that the couple can benefit from. And especially my military tribe right here. You guys, right here, us. Weddings are big for us. And it's a tool that we can use to move us forward to that next chapter in our marriage. So wedding planning allows us to train the muscles that we need to use during our marriage. It's really that simple. And I mean, I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to break it down like I broke it down for him when he was coming for my life about weddings being pointless. And I have 4 different skills that you utilize in wedding planning that are crucial for you to start working during the wedding planning phase, because you're going to need them for your marriage. The first one being compromise. No surprise there. Compromise is huge during wedding planning. And compromise is huge because, as I mentioned, you have 2 families. They may be similar, but I'm quite sure there are differences. You're going to get differences of opinion. There may be different cultures. They may have different traditions. There's compromise throughout. Even with the couple. You guys have been independent for so long. You're going to have to compromise on some things when it comes to wedding planning, and then even in your marriage. Because these same factors that you're thinking about in wedding planning, you'll be thinking about in your marriage. Take it a step farther. Who's paying for the wedding? They probably are going to have an opinion, and it lends to the compromise that you'll have to do in your planning process. Maybe you don't get everything exactly the way you want because you're not paying for it. The same way it is important that you can sustain your family, because if you have other people footing the bill on some things, they're absolutely going to want to have an opinion about how you live your life. That is for another episode. But we'll move on to the second one, which is huge. Financial management. Can we just get a moment of silence for financial management? Yes. We're going to talk about the big B word. Maybe not what you're thinking, but it's a budget. Budgets are huge in wedding planning. And you think about it, you have all these different components that get you to your big day, your caterer, your venue, your photographer, your videographer, floral, and all the details, and dresses, and jewelry, and hair, and makeup, or none of that. You can cut that list down shorter. But you have to budget for the items because everything costs money. And one of the things I want to stress is that money is a tool. Money is simply a tool to offer you an experience that you want to share with your guests. It's a tool that you can use to buy gifts and show your appreciation. It's a tool to train you as a couple to work together. And how this muscle is flexed in your wedding planning process, you'll see. You'll see how good your significant other is with savings. You'll see how good they are with setting goals. You'll see even their spending habits, which could be scary, but you'll know where you're starting at so that you can grow and develop that and get better together. So financial management is a huge skill that carries over from both wedding planning and in your marriage life. Now, number 3 is one that I think often people do not think about, but I absolutely had to put it on my list. So it is defining your circle. Yes, let that sink in. Defining your circle is a muscle you need to start flexing in your wedding planning process that will benefit you in your marriage. And what I mean by that is, let's take your bridal party, the wedding party. You are choosing who you want to stand up, next to you to be a witness at this ceremony, at this event where you are marking your commitment, your covenant, and you have to be selective about the people that you're going to have up there because you're not necessarily going to have everyone you invite up there with you. You are fine tuning your circle. Maybe it's someone that you went to kindergarten with. Maybe it's your college roommate. Maybe it's someone that you went to training with. Maybe it's someone that is in your squadron. Different people make up your circle. However you define your circle, you'll really start fine-tuning it when it comes to how many people are at your wedding or in the wedding party. So even you may know 300 plus people, but if that B word that budget starts tapping you on the shoulder like, hey, yeah, we can't pay for 300 people. We would love to have them there. You start fine-tuning that list, right? The same thing happens in your marriage. Maybe you need to fine-tune your list of people that you keep in your circle once you're married. Maybe you don't need to hang out with that single person who just wants you to do things outside of your marriage. They're not really in support of your marriage. That is a prime opportunity to use that muscle that you were flexing when you were noticing that you only had 8 seats at the table and you had to remove somebody out of the table. Just say, bro, hey girl, I'm sorry, and I need you to remove you from the list because you're not healthy. You're not adding anything to or in support of my relationship. So defining that circle is a continuous process because as you guys grow and continue in your military career and you PCS to different locations, you may add some people to the list. And that's fantastic, but you also may have some people fall off, and that's okay too, because the point of it is that you continue to grow in your marriage and you continue to get closer because the person that you want to have still in that circle is your significant other. So defining your circle, that is huge. It's a skill that you'll work in your wedding planning and in your marriage. So a fourth one kind of goes without saying, because you have to say it. You have to say it. You have to do it. It is communication. Communication. So communication is huge. You're probably going to hear me wear out this topic on this podcast because I feel like we, as military couples, we really need to work on communication. And sometimes our service gets in the way of that. So this is a muscle that we have to flex and stretch and build every single day. So communication can come in different forms. Maybe you're sharing priorities. Maybe you don't like cake and you need to share with your significant other, your spouse, hey, I don't like cake, so I don't think this is a priority for our wedding. And your significant other can say back to you, cool, because I didn't really want to spend that much on cake anyway. That's a win. You had the conversation, you can move forward, save a little money, and everybody's happy. Maybe it's a worry. Maybe it's, I am worried that Aunt Susie that offered to do our flowers for free is not going to come through the way I would really like her to come through. And you can have that conversation, and even though your significant other may love Aunt Susie, they may agree and say, you know what, yeah, we should have a professional. Or maybe you use that first skill, compromise, and you have Aunt Susie do floral for your bridal shower or your rehearsal dinner, and you allow a professional to do it so that they still feel included. But because you communicated that worry, you're able to move forward. Maybe it's a fear. Maybe you are afraid of the next chapter that you're going to go in. I mean, you don't know what it's like to be a military spouse until you become a military spouse. Like it's really that simple. You should communicate that. I'm not sure how I feel about this next stage. I know I love you. I know I want to be there to support you, but I'm fearful of that. And this wedding planning process just has brought that out. But that's a great opportunity to communicate those things. Maybe it's excitement. Maybe you are super excited to have this one song play because you know all your friends at table 5 they're gonna get so live when this song plays on the dance floor at your wedding. Or maybe it's your father daughter, your mother daughter, or mother groom dance. There are exciting moments throughout the wedding. There are so many that you can share and communicate with during the wedding planning process. Now let's flip that. That's wedding planning. Let's talk about those same things communication wise when it comes to your marriage. Priorities. Maybe it's not a priority anymore for you to work. Maybe you'll be a stay-at-home spouse or a stay-at-home mom. Priorities change. You should communicate that throughout your marriage. Maybe it's a worry. I'm worried about a PCS. I'm worried about moving across the country farther away from my family. How do we figure that out? Like, where could I maybe go to feel some peace about that? Communication. Fears even. Honey, I am afraid about this deployment. You may be going into some areas that are not safe. It doesn't sit well with me. I'm afraid. Communicate those things. I mean, it goes without saying, but you have to say it. You have to say it. That is the takeaway with communication. Or excitement. You could be super excited that your significant other is making the next rank. Let's go. We are promoting. This paycheck is about to get a little bit bigger. I am super proud of you. Communicate those excitements. They love for you to be their biggest cheerleader when they may be working countless hours. Be that. Show that excitement. Communicate that excitement. So, just to recap for you, the 4 skills that I encourage you that you will utilize in your wedding planning as well as in your marriage are compromise. Number 2, financial management. Number 3, defining your circle. And number 4, communication. Okay, everyone, now that we've had that heart-to-heart, it's time for you to EYS. That's right, earn your stripes. So out of the 4 topics that we talked about, those skills that you utilize in wedding planning that you can also use in your marriage, I want you to just pick one and discuss. Figure out how you can maybe improve on an area, chat it out, talk about it. Yeah, I mean, like right now. Come on, you can do it right now. This podcast is sponsored by B. Carroll Events for wedding and event planning and design. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. This is Hearts and Stripes. We are the few and the proud that aim high and are forged by love. Born ready. We are Mill Marriage Strong.